Hi, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brienne.
And you're listening to
Just Haunted House Things.
So we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Back, baby.
Doing that thing.
that same old thing. That podcast thing.
Yeah. So Brienne, tell me what you've been up to in the last little while.
Oh, Courtney, I went through hell and came back. I worked very hard at my day job for the holidays. I'm a baker, if people do not know.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this, but the holidays are a busy baking season.
You don't say.
Some people are just baffled. One may call it hauntingly frightening to be a baker at the holidays. See, I work that in there. I'm always going to work that in there.
Well done. Well done.
I went home, had the worst trip with the airport of my life to and from. Lost my suitcase for 2 weeks. But I came back, and the one thing I was really looking forward to this year was starting season 2.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But Courtney, what have you been doing on this time off?
Well, what I've done is I changed jobs again.
Damn right. Snaps for changing jobs?
Constantly. That's just been my life for the last 2 years, is bouncing from job to job. But now at least I'm closer to back into the event/haunt world, but I will.
Hell yeah.
I'll put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that because it's not confirmed yet.
For now.
It's not confirmed yet, but there could be something interesting on the horizon. Let's just say that.
Very
And, for my holidays, I went on that camping trip where I nearly avoided craziness and death. Apparently avoided an avalanche that I didn't realize was happening, so that was fun. Did I tell you that story? I'll have to tell you that later.
You did not tell me the avalanche story.
So while we were camping, snow fell overnight that was like almost 2 feet. It was really heavy snow, so all the branches started breaking on the trees, and woke up and we were like, yeah, we need to get the crap out of here. So as we were leaving the campsite, we're leaving, and one of our compadres got stuck, and so my boyfriend and I, we took our vehicle out of the campsite because we were like, we'll just get out of the way, and boyfriend took some supplies back to the folks to get this truck out, and as I'm sitting in this vehicle, boyfriend's coming back and is taking some pictures, and then immediately gets into the van or into the truck and starts backing it up and taking it to a different spot. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, we should just, be not on the road. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cut to like an hour later, and he's like, oh yeah, there was an avalanche. And I go, what? So apparently there was an avalanche that came down the side of the mountain and like hit right next to us. But I didn't notice because I just thought it was like tree branches.
Yeah.
So
I love how he was just like super calm about it. And he's like, I'm not going to freak her out. I'll tell her after we've moved. That's a smart man. That is a smart man.
Very sweet of him to keep me calm. So
you almost died in the middle of the woods in winter. So also very hauntingly terrifying.
Hauntingly terrifying. It's a great theme for the holidays,
Yeah, we're on brand. It's great. All right.
So what are we doing today, Brienne?
Take the words out of my mouth, Courtney Ann. We're going to be talking to a couple cool characters, a couple cool people that we've known for a long time.
Some cool cats.
Some cool, creepy cats.
Yeah.
They are the founders and the thriving team of Bad Cookie Productions.
Woohoo!
And if you know anything about indie horror film in the Vancouver scene, you know these guys. And if you don't, and get on it.
And beyond the Vancouver scene, really.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I would say you're Vancouver famous. That's me. But like, you guys are known in like all over Canada, all over the States through like the festivals. Mm-hmm. Like, it's pretty amazing the amount of content that you guys have done with just like a small team.
And you pump it out. Okay, without further ado.
Sorry, yeah, we're like, we could talk about you, but like, how about we talk to you?
Yeah, without further ado, we have Topher and Ariel. Yay!
Hello.
I've been hiding here the whole time.
Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. Welcome to the Just Haunted House Things podcast, guys. We're so happy to have you.
Yay! First guest of 2022 of season 2.
I am so excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time. It is so good to see you guys again.
Digitally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Digitally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it still feels, you guys feel close. This feels good.
It feels great. It feels
Yeah.
great.
Feels a little far away for me, but that's just
Yeah. Because like
I can't reach
Ariel
you.
has this amazing setup of like her sound booth, but it's like, is that in your closet?
Yes.
Yeah, but like across the room. So we've got a great back shot of Ariel right now. We'll side. It's a side shot now. It's beautiful.
Oh, now
Look
it's
at that
back shot.
profile.
It looks like behind the scenes footage. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Luckily, I hopefully won't be shouting at all and have to adjust my levels because I have to run across the room to do that.
You'll be golden. You'll be golden.
Got this.
So, what have you guys been up to? Give us the rundown. Like, what's new? What's exciting? You guys got lots of stuff happening in 2022?
Well, our big thing that we've been working on is back in August, we shot another short film. It's called Damned Supper, and
Ooh.
it's about a group of wannabe witches who conjure up a little more than they bargained for on Halloween during their
Oh.
dumb supper ritual.
Their dumb supper.
Yeah, it's actually so the dumb supper is a ritual that used to be done on Halloween by like a group of ladies who wanted to find out who their future love was.
Oh.
So what they would do is have a supper silently and in reverse. So everything would be reversed from table setting to the order of the dishes to even how they would sit in the chairs. We didn't do that because of space. And the idea was that like at the stroke of midnight, then apparitions of their future loves would appear.
Oh.
But if there was a coffin, they would die unwed.
Oh.
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 Well, this
I
is very
like
intriguing.
this.
Yeah, I
It's
learned
good.
about that ritual and then I wrote a short script based on that because I was like, oh, this could be some good horror shenanigans.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in post-production right now. We actually just released the poster for it today. So if you go to the Bad Cookie Pictures social media, you can see our gothic romance inspired poster and
I
everything.
love it.
Incredible.
Yes.
I'm so excited to see it. Actually, I'm going to go like it on Instagram right now.
Yeah, it sounds like I get like I haven't seen it yet, but like the image I'm getting is like the old like romance novels of like Fabio in the wind with his hair blowing, holding the woman who's scantily clad off of like the forest. But like
It's-
gothic and awesome. Yeah. Okay, that's
It's
exactly
like, yeah,
what I'm
this
thinking
this
of.
specific subgenre of the romance novel covers where it's basically women in long dresses running away from castles or inside castles holding candlesticks, looking
candelabras.
backwards.
Yes, that is my dream to live. I love it.
Amazing.
It was illustrated by a mutual friend of ours, guys, Jesse Jade
Who?
Churchill.
Oh, we love Jessie.
That's so exciting,
Yeah.
Jessie. Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I saw all of her like vampiric Victorian lady art that she's put out there,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
She's just got that awesome
yeah.
style and feel to just like her as a being. So it was like a perfect choice.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So when is this going to be out, guys?
Well, it's currently in post-production, and so we're hoping to start submitting at some point next month, and then it'll
Mhm.
just depend on what festival accepts it first.
Yay. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited. Fingers crossed. Fingers and toes crossed for you guys.
We're excited to get back into the festival scene again after such a long. I mean, we were out there just before Omicron, but like,
Yeah.
I want to get back out there, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Well, aside from us being stuck, aside from us being stuck in our homes, what else have you guys been working on? Like, I know you guys were talking about the Damn Supper. What was this other film that you had on the circuit? For those that may have missed it and or want to check out more content from you guys.
Well, that's actually one that Topher didn't work on because he was having adventures in Europe.
Oh.
Again?
No, this was we
off
shot it back in
gallivanting about.
Oh, okay.
2019. Clout, which is about a Instagram influencer who gets infected by an alien parasite that feeds off of her vanity.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
I think I saw the trailer for that one. I was like, that looks so rad.
Yeah. It's like still it's actually just it's going to be playing at another festival in February, so it's still doing the rounds.
Yeah.
You can act if people want to see it, there is a way to see it from home,
Mhm.
but you have to spend money. It's a part of the 2020 Best of the Festival DVD and Blu-ray set for the HP Lovecraft Film Festival.
Incredible.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, I was so excited when they asked if we wanted to have the film be a part of that, and I was like, yes, physical media. Oh my gosh.
Hell
yeah. Is that
Hell
really
yeah.
a question? Yes, I do.
Yeah,
That's
and then
amazing.
we also just for Halloween, I believe it was, we put our first short film, Ready to Burst, up online on our YouTube page, and it's gotten like over 23,000 views.
Oh yeah.
That
Kind
is
of blown
so rad.
away.
Just a couple people have seen it.
Just a
A couple.
handful. It's
Yeah.
fine. Look
No
at
big
you
deal.
two.
Well, if I'll plug our YouTube page a bit more because Brienne is in one of the things you can watch on our YouTube channel. She's in Tune In for Murder, a VR film.
Ooh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Well, it's free online, so you
Have you
can check
not?
it out whenever.
Well, I need to check out your YouTube a little bit closer then.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe.
Oh, heck yes. So a little backstory of how we've met both of you. Topher was saying earlier that he met you, Brienne, on Choose Your Victim.
Heck yeah, classic little baby days.
And Ariel, I remember meeting you at the that we used to work at.
Yep,
Yep, a
I was there.
Former hunter.
yeah,
One
former
season.
hunter. Yeah, I thought it was more.
Hey, it still counts.
No,
It still counts.
so it's really funny because like in my interview, they asked, "Oh, what house do you want to be in?" And I said, "Any house except the clown house."
Oh my god.
And I got put in the clown house.
Oh.
And so I was kind of like, I think I'm good because it was like you had to both be scary and funny, and I was like, this is a lot of pressure. My favorite room was the polka dot room because you didn't have to say anything.
It's a great room. I don't blame you. It's
I
an amazing
know.
room.
It's a terrifying room.
I think it's probably the scariest room in the clown house. But yeah, so I did that. But you might think I did it for longer because after that, I was in 2 of the commercials.
Right.
Yeah, that is exactly why we thought you were there longer.
Yeah, I mean, you're a haunter at heart because you make horror stuff and you are entrenched in horror content. So, in my eyes, you're a haunter.
100%. I just remember like Gigi talking about how she was like gone is or like for oh wow, I cannot talk. Evil Dead in 60 Seconds. I was gonna say Gone in 60 Seconds. Great Nick Cage movie. Angelina Jolie looks like a babe. Everyone go check it out. But yeah, it was like she talked about how she had the perfect lead who was like felt like the time era and just had like got that like nailed that like acting, which was like cheesy but realistic and like perfect for the frame. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I watched you and I was like, holy shit, she like looks like she came straight out of one of the Evil Dead movies.
That's like such a big compliment. Thank you very much.
I thought it was so cool. And I still see it. It was the woods, they're alive. And I just like, I see your face now every time. Like, even if I rewatch the actual movie, I see you doing it. I'm like, no, she did it better. Whatever.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I was just gonna say, I think there's a new Evil Dead universe film coming out.
Oh,
Like
snap.
Evil Dead Rises, I think it's called. Oh, also the 60-second version, it's actually in a documentary.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it played at Blood in the Snow at the same time as Clout, and I can't remember the title, I feel horrible, but it's a documentary all about the fans of the Evil Dead. And
Oh
so
my God.
they actually talk about the Evil Dead in 60 Seconds called Hail to the Deadites. And
We remembered.
yes, because I IMDb'd it while we were cut off. So yeah, and we ended up in like one of those networking Zoom meetings together in like a group of 3. So we ended up talking a lot, and he was like, "You look so familiar," and then we somehow figured out that it was because I was in Evil Dead in 60 Seconds, and he was like, "Oh, I spent 6 months editing and looking at your face." So we're in a documentary.
That's not creepy at all.
That's so awesome.
The only context where that's not creepy. And his poster did beat Clout's poster for best poster, but
Dang.
it's also a very good poster.
Yeah.
Ariel, I was introduced to you after Evil Dead in 60 Seconds, and that's
Yep.
I've known Ariel longer. What?
Yes, you have.
yeah.
Oh shit. That's weird. Not weird because like I love that fact. But like you guys are just such a team that whenever I think about you guys, I'm just like, yeah, they've known each other for like 50 years.
For a long time, yeah.
For like this life and a previous one and the next one.
Yeah, no, our friend anniversary is Gigi's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, a great way to remember.
Yeah, that was the one. And then I was like, we should all go see the new Evil Dead movie together. That was
And then we did.
that was what
Yeah.
really sold it. Yeah.
I think that was the one where she's done it a lot, but where like the Lock production sign came up on like the opening credits, and Gigi like screamed because it just like made a loud noise. And we're like, it's the opening credits, and she's like, I know, I was just preparing, and I'm like, okay. Oh, Gigi.
I love scaring the crap out of Gigi. It's like the best pastime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways.
Meandering. 2022. We're still keeping that meandering going.
Forever
It's
and
just
always.
haunted
so nice to
houses.
catch up, this is
Yeah.
kind of the best.
Yeah. So, Topher, Ariel, you guys said briefly before we got into this meandering about horror movies and whatnot, that you had prepared something for us to talk about.
So people who've been following us might know that we were former podcasters.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did I guess it's now a limited series about
It's 50
history.
episodes. So
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's like 2 seasons. That like full length, like episodic seasons.
We got really into it, and we had to research for every episode.
Right.
Yes.
So, what was your podcast? If people want to go
What was
and
it
check it
called?
out now.
It's called BC is Creepy. And about partway through, there's a bit of a narrative aspect that gets introduced. But for the most part, it is researched topics. So it is like about BC history, because it's all about creepy stuff that happened in BC until Topher went away, and then we started adding some international flavor.
We just ran
Love
out of
that.
topics. BC
There's-
was creepy, and I mean, it's
We got tired
really
of
creepy
murders.
now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. I don't think I could get tired of murders. Wow, that sounded so bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I mean, we could always do a 2022 update for you, Brian. There's been several just in the last couple of weeks.
none that I have taken part of.
Thank
Just putting
God.
that out there.
No, she leaves the evidence there.
I'm not dumb. I'm not gonna. not gonna trudge that mud into my house when it's got a very specific type of soil that only is placed in the one area of town. What are you talking about? I grew up watching way too many crime shows with my dad. I blame him. The only cartoon we watched growing up was Scooby-Doo. So seriously, I blame him because even that was a mystery show.
Yeah. With all sorts of
Anyways.
spooky stuff. Anyways, I researched an old story about a haunted house that you guys are probably very familiar with. And I did a little bit of history gathering for this.
I love learning. Teach me.
Yeah. What I researched today is about the haunted castle from Six Flags. And
Brienne's face is good, yeah.
I'm like a kid in a candy store. Let's go.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't a topic that it turns out you know more about it than us.
I don't know. You guys might have found some gems because Brienne, I don't know if you remember, but back when we used to work at the Haunt, we used this as a case study for fire safety.
Oh, this is the tragic one, isn't it?
This is it's a tragic thing. So
so
I'm excited.
Terrible.
I'm excited to hear you guys talk about it because you might have information that we weren't privy to because it was used as a training tool versus like just information.
So we got like stats and but not story.
Yeah. So tell us about this.
I started very early.
Yeah. So have you guys ever gone into like the history of haunted attractions in the show yet?
A little bit.
Not like fully dived in, but yeah, a bit.
Okay. So then it's not going to be completely rerun.
No, you're good.
But we haven't done it on the show, if that's what you're asking. We haven't talked about like haunted attraction history, which is something we are potentially attending to do. But if you've got tidbits, let's hear them. I'm stoked.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to start in 1797 in Paris, where the Phantasmagoria show is kind of known to be the first look into a kind of simulated haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
It used lighting projections and special effects, and it would just scare patrons. And this is before anything. This was like a little traveling show. Afterwards,
we got a hand up.
I have a question. Now, was that the birthplace of Pepper's ghost technique? Do you know? You do not. Okay.
I do not. I'm assuming it started with like little projections of ghost shapes or oil rigs. I know that would have been really popular. Essentially, this was before, cinema even.
Right. Okay.
But in 1802, we have our first like permanent structure in Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, where they started showing the executions of the French royal family, like from the French Revolution beforehand. And then that eventually would become Madame Tussauds, like, I think
Chamber of Horrors.
Torture house. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, eat the rich.
Yes.
Right? It's about time we do it again, to be quite honest.
Yeah, we're due for a revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, plague times, that usually leads to some changes. So then, in 1915, the Orton and Spooner Ghost House opened, which was a carnival house that was powered by steam, and it opened up in Liphook in the UK.
So this is when they're just like playing with like motors for the first time.
Right.
But we don't really have it in America until the Great Depression, when we start seeing like trick-or-treaters and haunted houses and just stuff to entertain the kids because we don't have a lot of money.
So depressing.
Wah, wah.
I'm here all year.
You know what? I'm getting you a dad joke counter for this season. Like I have to.
Ooh, okay, are we at 1 then?
We're at 1. There we go. Put it on the counter.
Like
So,
a one a
what's-
day rip off the paper kind of.
Yeah.
What's also interesting about trick or treating was that was also to like try to stop kids from destroying the town,
Right.
basically, like to distract them.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
also like that's sort of what marks the transition of Halloween being like kind of more for adults and for mischief to being like this kid's holiday. But I think we are starting to see a bit like that's not quite the way it is anymore. Halloween
kind of transitioning back to adults. And
I've
mischief
reclaimed
Yeah.
Halloween, and it lasts all month. So I mean, in the 50s and 60s, America starts taking on haunted houses for charities. So we still have some of those haunted houses today, like the Children's Museum Haunted House in Indianapolis, which is currently the longest running in America. And then
Oh, I was gonna say I've got a fact that's not in your notes. One of these charity groups, they actually were so good at creating haunted houses that they actually created manuals of how to make your own haunted house that
Oh.
different groups could then use to like how to make this little scare and how to make this kind of room. So there was almost like a standardization that happened.
Cool.
and it starts to become like a culture, right?
Right.
And we see our first really big corporate, I mean, not so much a haunted house per se, but the Haunted Mansion
the
in
time.
1969 opens up, and all of a sudden it's big money.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And from there, we see the Not Scary Farm,
Yep.
and that's where we get to Six Flags. So the original Six Flags Haunted House was built in 1978,
Mm.
and it was originally just called the Haunted House. It's constructed of 4 aluminum semi-trailers, and it was just meant to kind of test the waters.
Right.
The next year, that haunted house gets moved inwards, and they go and they open the Haunted Castle.
Right.
Ooh.
And it's still the trailers at this point, correct?
It's still the trailers. It's 1979, but now we've got, instead of 4 trailers together, we have where are we? We have like 16
Wow.
trailers, and we have on both sides 8 trailers, and we have a common room trailer for the actors in the middle. So actually it's 17 trailers.
Right.
And when it was
really
busy,
big jump.
a really big
Yeah.
jump, because now they know that they can make tons of money. And originally it opens, and they only had it open at night, but it was so popular that they had to open all day. It was going to be a temporary, just seasonal one, and they weren't really watching or paying attention, but it became their like most popular attraction really fast. And
Right.
so they turned it from a temporary attraction into a permanent attraction without making any big changes to it. So
Just adding
Still that
on,
very
it's like,
temporary structure.
yeah, it's like they got excited because of all the potential and then didn't look into the logistics of things. Or, I mean, how would they know at the time, right?
Right.
And I
Yeah,
mean-
or it's like when someone starts something and they're like, this is just a temporary version. If it goes well, we'll like build something more permanent. And then it does go well, but it would cost so much money to build something better.
Right.
just-
They're cutting
Mm.
those
Why
why
costs.
don't we just keep it?
They're looking at their bottom line versus looking at how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Huh. Eat the rich. I get. Sorry. Repetitive coughing.
So we have the interiors. They're built with plywood. They have ceilings with wooden studs for support. We've got foam rubber on the walls and various fabrics and plastics and plywood and tar paper, wax mannequins for props. We've got painted turrets and towers of plywood on wooden frames. And I've seen pictures. It looks really cool. It sounded awesome. Really.
It's like hurts to hear that. as a haunter, like this day and age with everything, just listening to that, even the first thing where, because I absolutely agree with you when you're like wood beams, and I'm like, yeah, wood beams look great in a house.
I mean,
windows in a
there's-
residential area.
What you just described is not uncommon in a lot of haunted houses. However, a lot of them are treated
Temporary?
and temporary, but most of them are treated with fire retardant, or have been manufactured so that their burn rate is lower. So if it does happen to catch on fire, it burns slower so that it doesn't, decimate everything in its path really quickly. But yeah, continue. We'll get to that part.
On May 11th in 1984, the haunted castle, this was at the Great Adventure Park in New Jersey. So not at Six Flags specifically, I guess. This isn't Six Flags, and I don't know where Six Flags is. Isn't that like California?
I mean,
don't
they have a multiple. So Six Flags
Okay.
is its own corporation on its own, and they have a bunch of different locations.
Yeah.
So this would
Okay,
be
so
like a
New
chain
Jersey
of
location.
yeah,
It's like McDonald's.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the haunted castle caught fire, and there were casualties. About 8 teenagers from the age of 15 to 19 were the casualties of the fire, as well as people who suffered from smoke inhalation who had to be hospitalized.
We had 7 people hospitalized and 8 bodies found in the rubble,
Right.
which was announced at like 10:35 at night.
Right.
And the fire began at 6:35 and was brought under control like an hour later, 7:45.
So it wasn't until later on, after they were sifting through the damage, that they found the bodies.
Yeah.
And they had a hard time because they couldn't tell at some points which were real bodies and which were the wax mannequins. So they actually had to
Because
get
they were
like,
so charred.
yeah.
Brutal.
They had
And-
white body bags to separate the actual bodies from the wax mannequins.
Yeah, and so eventually they figured out in a report that was prepared by John Bouchard of NFPA that the fire started in the strobe room because a 14-year-old set fire to a foam plastic pad using a cigarette lighter. The fire was ruled accidental, and what would happen in this maze is that because it was so dark, a lot of people would always be taking out their lighters to be able to see where they were going.
It was
And
like a normal thing to take your lighter out and light it up inside the haunted house.
Totally. Well, because nowadays you'd bring out your iPhone and throw on your flashlight, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
back then, that wasn't a thing. So you had lighters on you.
it's like how the concerts transitioned from holding up the lighter to holding up your phone.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a very different feel, by the way. Again, different subject, but just saying.
But like nowadays, you're not even allowed to pull out your phone and light it up, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to stop people, Topher?
No.
No.
Can confirm no.
Yeah, that's why you hire the good scary actors who know how to scare people to put those phones back in their pockets.
Yeah.
Or they drop them and they break.
Haha, joke's on you. Now you can't use your phone.
Maybe if you listen to the rules.
Yeah. So
Anyway, keep going.
we'll keep going. Yes, because there was one witness who was a part of a group that entered a few minutes after the group that were the victims. And she testified that she saw the flames coming around the bend in the attraction's Hunchback display area. And originally she thought that was a part of the show. But then when they started smelling real smoke, her group started yelling fire and ran back towards the entrance. And
Right.
of course, because it was dark, they were bumping into the walls and stuff. So
That's like crazy because nowadays you can get scented effects
Yeah.
for your haunted
Yeah.
house. So you could actually set it up so it looks like you're in a fire
In a
haunted
fire, yeah.
house. Yeah.
There was one
Yeah.
one haunted house I went to in London called the London Dungeons, and they
yeah.
actually recreate the Great Fire of London, and they make you like run. They're like, oh, the whole town is on fire. You got to run across the bridge.
I want to go there.
I
I
need
want
it.
to do that.
It's
I didn't know I was missing that in my life.
awesome.
Oh, okay. Castles are the best. Go on.
It's actually like a really popular attraction across Europe. They have like, I went to two. I went to one in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam dungeon, and the one in London. But I know that they had one in Berlin. They have one in Paris,
Wow.
and each one is like a history lesson
I love it.
for
So cool.
the big town.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right. Is there more to this story?
Well, Great Adventures Inc., Six Flags, and two executives were indicted in September 1984 by the Orange County Prosecutor's Office. And the two executives avoided the trial for manslaughter. They didn't admit any wrongdoing, but the corporations were tried for aggravated manslaughter charges. And of course, since then, significant changes were made in model code,
with provisions dealing specifically.
with special amusement buildings. So, yeah.
You were cutting off.
And
Jennifer.
I mean, at the time, it caused my bad. At the time, it did cause a setback for a lot of the similar attractions. Haunted houses weren't as popular because, of course, people were afraid that it could lead to a lot of danger. But since then, the precedent was set, and we have a lot more safety guidelines.
Yes.
Damn right. Well, okay. So, because Courtney and I do know that story a little bit because of like training practices. There's a part of the story that I think is just so heartbreaking that like every time I think about this story, I think about this particular part of how the bodies were found. And I don't know if you guys know about it. And Courtney, please correct me if any of my information is wrong, because you have literally taught this to people more than I've sat in the room for it. But the kids, the teenagers, they got stuck in the room and they couldn't find their way out. So they're down on the floor trying to get air, and they find a vent, and they all huddle around the vent trying to get air to breathe. And that is where they were found, all just circled around that vent, which is just
isn't that nasty?
Horrifying.
And I don't know if this is part of your guys' notes either, but the only reason they found out investigating based on like maintenance records is that the only reason that kid brought out his lighter is because there was a light out in the room.
Oh,
that's it. That's all it was.
Yeah. That's the reason why he couldn't see.
That is heartbreaking.
It's absolutely, it sends chills down my spine every single time I read that part.
Yeah. It's just like we stress a lot about like the funny stuff and like actors being safe, but it's also about maintaining a safe work environment physically and making sure that you're like, if you want to have a good time and you want to show customers and guests a good time, you got to make sure that you are set up for success in all areas. And that includes, as an actor, that you're like, your body's ready, you're taking care of your voice, you're not stressing and like hurting yourself, but also that the area that you're working in is safe, and that the people who maintain the house are on top of that shenanigans.
Yeah.
And like, it's supposed to be scary, but not, it's supposed to be a safe environment to feel like that too, right?
Consensual scariness.
and like a controlled
Yeah.
life-threatening situation, not an actual life-threatening situation.
Yeah, like obviously the haunted houses and experiences in the UK that you've done in Topher, like you said that you ran from a quote unquote fire, but I mean, did you ever feel like you were actually gonna get swallowed by a fire?
Absolutely not. Like I love haunted houses because it is a safe environment to feel that. You know, it's one of my favorite experiences. I try to go every Halloween. I don't want to be on fire and dead.
No one does.
No.
No one does. And another thing with this that makes it even like extra tragic is I guess some of the emergency exits were blocked because of displays in front of the emergency exits. So they were actually blocked off. So all in all, like Six Flags messed up in a big way, and it's left a stain. Really dropped the ball. And as you said, like they were only supposed to do it as a temporary situation, and they were like we said earlier, looking more so at that bottom line versus looking at the bigger picture and being like, how can we do this correctly and spend the money where we should be spending the money to make it safe for not just like guests, but for staff.
And now you have this shining example.
Need that shooting star. The more you know.
The more you know.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And like, I know most haunted attractions are really, really safe, but it always is in the back of my brain when I'm seeing like any attraction. And this includes like going to music venues or whatever. Like it's always in the back of my brain of like, okay, well, if something stupid happens right now, like where are my exits? Can I see a fire extinguisher within my like range, or like what is the protocol? It's so stupid that I have to think about that, or that we have to think about that.
Because that's like survival. I'm right with you though about like the fires and stuff like that. Wherever I'm in a haunted attraction, I'm not gonna lie, one of the first things I do is look up to see if there's sprinklers of any kind. And telling my dad, who is a former deputy fire chief, retired, that hey, I was in this place and they didn't have fire like sprinklers. He's like, well, that's not good. I'm like, hey dad, you're not wrong.
So with that story, let's just drive home to our fellow haunters and haunt actors to make sure you know where your fire exits are, make sure where you know where your fire extinguishers are, and question your haunt owners if they have a fire suppression system in place, because like I would hate to read on the news that someone was hurt in a fire. I do know that there was a fire recently, I think in October at a house, but no one was in the building, but they lost everything from my understanding. So,
was it like a home haunt?
I can't remember if it was a home haunt or if it was a pro haunt, but either way, someone lost their livelihood, and that's
that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And also, just speak up if you feel unsafe. This is important. So, you know, hold your employers to account.
If your bosses are going to get mad because you're talking about your safety or just like asking questions about that, maybe those are people you want to work for.
Yeah, that's not the haunt you want to work for. And we've talked about that before.
We have,
but more so along the lines of like, if you get punched and they do nothing. But this is kind of the same thing. Like if you're bringing up legit concerns, they got to listen to them. They got to listen to them, especially if you're like, especially if you're a volunteer at a haunt, because I know that some of those haunts could be a little different in how they run.
Little cutting corners is a way.
No.
I mean, you never know, but just like,
But like, I mean, if you do talk about the home haunts and like where people are just getting started, they're not going to have the huge like fire suppressing systems.
No, but
you want to feel safe and know that there's a plan.
Yeah, there's got to be a plan with any attraction you build, whether it's a home haunt, whether it's a yard haunt, whether it's a pro haunt, whatever, or like, you know, mid-size haunts. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence as like an owner, get the right equipment. And if that means just like loading up to the T's with fire extinguishers in every single room possible and letting everybody
Then do
know
it.
where they are, then do that. If you need to
Yeah.
have radios on everybody, then do that. If you need to have fire alarms, then do that. Like, do your due diligence and just
Ooh.
put the money where your freaking mouth is. Like, because no one wants anyone to actually die.
Courtney, your manager tone
I
is coming
know
out.
it just came out. I'm sorry. Let me pull that hat off for a second. There we go.
It was like I legit was like, oh God, what did I do wrong? Did I not fill out the paperwork last night? I swear to God, I did.
I just scolded the entirety of the haunt community.
For God's sake, I have a muster point.
Know your exits. Know your
I'm thinking
fire
about it now.
extinguishers.
I'm thinking about it.
What is
That's
the
good.
word we use when we're using a fire extinguisher?
Pass.
Pass. Because you pull the pin, you aim at the bottom, you squeeze and you sweep.
From
You'll
side
never
to
forget
side.
that. From
Mm.
side to side. As
I was
Ariana
gonna say
Grande
fire.
says, side to side.
And say fire and yell fire.
Oh, yeah.
And
Because
that whole
that will
thing.
make people run.
Question for you all. What has been your favorite haunted house that you've been to, whether like local or international or what?
I've got it. I'm ready. I I went to this place in Prague, and it was just called like Adventure Park, and it was a little place, and it was two aspects to it. They have a VR zombie game that you can play before you go into the haunted house, and then the haunted house. I actually, it's one of our YouTube videos actually, but the haunted house itself is quite dark. You
Okay.
have one haunter, and you have to go in a minimum of two people, but just one group to go through the entirety of the haunted house while this haunter chases you. It's most of it is dark, but it's quite like it's quite tactile. You have to climb ropes, you slide down slides, you climb over like tires, and mostly in the dark. All the meanwhile, you have our hunter was in a clown mask, and he's watching you. He knows exactly where you are, and he's chasing you this entire time, doing his scares. Like my favorite part was the swamp water where they do the laser and the smokes.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
just
I was like, did you guys
rises
get
up out of the water. No, just the smoke and the lasers that looks like swamp water, and he jumps up and he comes at us, and I was with my friend Leslie at the time, and we couldn't actually make it through because she got so scared she had to use the safe word, and we had to stop halfway through. But this one, Adventure Park in Prague, best haunted house I've ever been to.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Topher, that was so cool. I mean, I'd love to go to Prague. Honestly, I think they have the best. I have never been to Europe, but I bet you they have the best haunted houses. So I agree that that's.
You know,
That's what
Europe
mine would
has
probably
such
be.
a like Europe in general has such a rich history that I think like anything they do it could be terrifying. So
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing I noticed about Europe is that their haunted houses were year-round, permanent fixtures designed to just bring in like tourists.
Yeah, it seems
just
like
a
it would
steady
be more
stream of tourists
like
walking through. So
touristy museum info versus like haunted houses, which are very, I guess, like the Americanized version.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
side note, I worked at one
Lead Topher.
called the London Bridge Experience. I know I buried the lead, but I was dressed up as Jack the Ripper, and
That's
I was
awesome.
out on the street, and I was trying to sell tickets to this haunted house attraction
Wow.
on the street, and it was a fun job, with terrible management and terrible bosses.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend going there.
Okay, wait.
But
wait here. So we asked you about your favorite haunt in freaking wherever, and you're like, let me tell you about this UK, and you just decide to, after we had to, and I don't care if people know about this, after we had to start re-recording because we ran out of time on our Zoom call, you're like, oh, by the way, I also worked for one in the UK, and I was Jack the Ripper, one of the most prolific serial killers ever, and I was getting yeah, cool, whatever, cool. I like tea as well, like fuck off. But like, cool.
I had something in my head that I wanted to get out first. I've been holding on to this Prague haunted house like the entire episode, and it just kind of occurred to me on the side that I did work in a haunted house.
So let me get this straight.
It was fine.
Let me get this straight. You're on a podcast specifically about haunted attractions. You tell me about Six Flags. Great story, by the way. Thank you for that.
Great story. Great info. But we're talking about working in horror movies and how Ariel used to work with us in a haunt.
And then Topher like, just forgot. I also worked in a haunted house. No big deal.
In London, on this street, as Jack the fucking Ripper. No, but like, cool. I got my nails painted the other day too. Yeah, whatever. No big deal.
Topher, so that was the best segue. That was the best.
I'm a very scattered person. This is.
I mean, it's one of the reasons you're so lovable, but goddamn. You know what? Okay, now Ariel, tell me some super like. I'm just like I have to push that aside because like actually like what the hell? But Ariel, I want to know about your favorite haunted house. Maybe surprisingly, did you like work for like I don't know Frankenstein or something? Like who knows?
Okay, so I actually have an embarrassing confession.
Oh, go on.
I'm kind of scared of haunted houses.
That's great. We love that.
Yeah, so I had some traumatizing experiences in them as a little kid.
Right.
So, and I
Classic.
get very immersed in things. So like if I'm playing a scary video game as well, it's just like I love watching horror, but then when I'm in it, I just am like, ugh. So I hadn't, since I was like a kid, I hadn't been in a haunted house until I worked at and then I was able to go to haunted houses for like a few years because I'd be like, someone's going to jump out there. Someone's going to jump out there.
Right,
I am mentally prepared. I know what's going to happen. So I was fine for a few years. And then like the longer it's been since I've worked there, the more it's worn off. But like one of my funniest experiences, which like it's a good memory. So you know Carolyn Williams?
Yes.
I went with her.
Know.
Yeah, I went with her and her partner Jordan, and we went to the haunted corn maze in Abbotsford.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it was really fun. It was super muddy. Luckily, we were all wearing gumboots. And so we were walking through the corn maze, and this person comes running behind us with a chainsaw. And me being like, I don't want to run. I don't want to give in. So I just like, we were holding hands and I was just like slowly walking. I'm like, I'm not giving you the satisfaction of knowing that you're freaking me out. You're not going to hurt us. You're not going to hurt us. And
just keep
so
your
that
head
was
up
like,
high.
yeah, just half of through the maze was just walking slowly and calmly. I'm not going to scream like those girls ahead of us.
I love
See,
that.
the chainsaw is always what gets me.
Every time.
And then another experience was actually with Topher. And this wasn't, and we were going through one of the houses, and because I knew about the scare zones and everything, I was like, okay. And then one of the people who was working in one of the cages in one of the houses got out of the cage and started chasing us through the maze.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like,
snap.
they're leaving their scare zone. They're leaving their scare zone. What's going on? Ah!
Oh, snap.
The
So actually,
drama.
Because
knowing the rules made it scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I need to know who that was.
I do too. I'm so curious. What year was this?
Oh God, that would have been like 2013, 2014.
Oh, snap.
I
Shit.
think this was when like
I can
think
tell you specifically the
Jesse-
room and the. It was the first year that I did the commercial.
they were like saying my name too that night.
So they
Oh,
knew you,
they
and
like-
that's why they did
That
it.
might have been our fault.
I mean,
So-
Gigi was getting us to the front of the lines.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, okay. So, something that we do in the haunt community, and I'm sorry for this, is that if we know anybody who's like coming to the haunt, like, and if we have like group chats or like Facebook pages or whatever, we'll like post the picture of the person who we know is coming with name and what they're afraid of. And then,
Oh, but
couldn't
like,
have
yeah.
done that. No one knew we were going to be there. Gigi was surprised to see us there. So
oh, well, then that wouldn't have been it.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
but
we bought our
also
own
what
tickets.
people sometimes would do is like when during like a regular season of the haunt, I would bring people in and I would put them through the front room. But because I know all of, like the ins and outs of the haunted house, I would sneak through back ways, sideways, go
Mhm.
through the different rooms to get to these actors
And tell them.
before my friends were, tell them who they were, what they are, scared of, what they're wearing, just to make it that much worse.
Yeah.
So
that's very
I
possible.
love
that
this.
It was definitely like, because having because I think this was literally the year after I'd worked there, so it's like I know what's going on, and then all of a sudden, no, I don't.
I mean, it's possible those people knew you.
mhm.
It is.
Like, because if you worked the year before, they probably were just like, oh, yeah, Ariel. Let's
I'm a very
get
Yeah.
her.
quiet person.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I love that though. But yeah, if you ever tell someone who works at a haunt that you're going to their haunt, Godspeed.
Yeah, you pretty much are taking on all liabilities. That's you owning that because they're just going to terrorize you.
Yeah, sorry
Because
about it.
nothing is better as a hunter than seeing someone that you know.
And scaring
and
the
being
poop
like-
out of them.
Oh, I'm going to fuck with them so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a story about that.
Literally my favorite thing.
It's the greatest thing. So back in the outlaw days,
Oh, outlaw days.
so before I met Brienne and before I met Topher and before I met Ariel, back in the outlaw days, we worked in this haunted attraction, but it was a completely different attraction than what's there now. And I was just a cash girl for the summer, so I wasn't even a scarer, but I wanted to scare so badly that I would scare people on my break. And I went into this room that was like a dining room type setting, and it was like ultraviolet light. And all I did was put on like a plain black sweater, put my hood up, and like sit at the table, kind of like with my hands on the table and like hood down. And I saw one of my friends walk in, and I immediately said his name, and he went, because he knew I worked there, and he went, Courtney, no. And like ran out of the room, like scurried. And it was the funniest thing to me. And ever since then, I'm like, if I see someone that I know, I'm getting you. Sorry.
It's like an
Courtney,
extra like
no.
endorphin rush that you get. You're just like, yes.
Yeah.
It's like a little
it's
extra
great.
kick. I've never done meth, but I assume that's what it would be like.
You don't need to now, you
Top
see.
tip for all
Right?
the hunters out there.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
chainsaws that get me. The real chainsaws with the chains taken off. You will chase me and I will run every single time.
I love how you're just giving up that information so freely. You're
What
like,
else?
I'm
to
ready.
everyone,
I'm ready for it.
bring me
If he's with
chainsaws.
me though,
Every
he'll
hunter.
be tugging on my arm as I'm just like, no,
We're
no.
staying. We're conquering this fear.
What else are you afraid of, Topher?
Oh gosh.
I'm afraid of commitment.
Okay, whenever there's like an air blast cannon, that always gets me.
Okay. Yeah. The tried and true.
Yeah.
The existential concept of what happens after we die.
Yeah, that
It
is.
just makes me more curious.
I mean, it is terrifying though, like what happens. Now that we have waxed philosophical about death and other such.
And finding out fun facts about people who worked in London haunted houses.
And talked about the importance of safety in your haunted attractions.
And
This
learn
has
some
been-
cool things.
Yeah, this has been
Yeah.
a great first episode for season 2.
I like it. It was so nice. I was just chilling with some old friends we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, it was a lot of meandering and I loved it.
I really
loved
missed
every
you
second.
guys. I was so excited.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. If they want to find you on social media and all that good stuff, where can they find you?
Well, for me personally, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as @Hanson's Horror. Not Hanson's Horror, Hanson's Horror.
Got it.
Yeah,
And you can
those
find me on
extras.
Instagram @SneezingWolf. But Bad Cookie Pictures you can find at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our YouTube page is probably your best point to find us. And we have our own website, badcookiepictures.com. If you want in-depth information about our projects, our collaborators, our upcoming projects. And Bad Cookie Pictures. Our BC is Creepy, our old podcast. You can still find it on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. And I think so, probably.
Amazing.
Try it. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for being our first guests back. And finally, because we've been talking about getting you guys on here for a little while now.
It's been an
but
absolute
yeah,
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh, anytime.
Absolutely. Well, we'll bring you guys back, especially after we get some your guys' new short goes out to Film Fest and you guys are ready to really powerhouse that. We'll bring you guys back on, do some more chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Great.
We'll be ready.
If you want to get a hold of us, we are on Instagram and on Facebook at Just
Mhm.
Haunted House Things. And listen to our podcast. We send them out every 2 weeks. I think that's it for today, guys.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you later. And this has been Just Haunted House Things.